Boom! I think the camera's a bit too close. Move it that way a bit. There we go. How's that? I think that's semi-perfect. You know, we're not all first round picks, you know. You know what I don't like? I don't like it when a portion of an item protrudes in the frame. It's either in the frame or it's not. So, for example, I've got a little radio here. If the radio is if the radio is in the frame, it has to be in the frame. Okay, I don't like this half thing, so I'm not going to put it in the frame. Guys, do me a favor. First of all, am I perfectly aligned? Sometimes I have to ask you whether or not I'm perfect. The other thing I need to do, I committed the other day, I said, every time I speak, I have to complete my sentences. You know, because sometimes when you speak, you say a half sentence, and then you wander off into another stratosphere. I have committed that when I speak, I must speak clearly, audibly, and I must complete my sentences when I speak. That's the commitment. That's where we are. All right. Guys, do me a favor. I started to say something, then it just escaped me. And sometimes that happens. It does. Do me a favor, guys. If you could please, in the comments below, tell me if this broadcast is clear. I need to know that for my own personal sanity. That this is where I am with this. Okay? So what I need to do now is I need to double check. I need to be absolutely certain. Okay? I need to be totally clear that I'm clear. Okay? I think the camera's a bit too close. There we go. I think that's good. Move it that way. Yeah, I think that's coming from the mic. It's coming from the lapel. It's not coming from the inbuilt mic. And guys, I keep telling you, when you take your audience seriously, they will take you seriously. Invest in a lapel mic when you're doing headshots, when you're doing a talking head. This is called a talking head. When you're addressing your followers, do a lapel mic so that your audience can hear you clearly. I say this every day, every time I say this. I will never tire of saying that. Jump on here if you can. It's a beautiful, what is today? Tuesday, Wednesday? I don't know. I forget. It's Wednesday, the 22nd of October, 2025. Can you believe it? 61 years we've been alive as a nation. I've been alive 56 years. A few years before I was born. Guys, here's the thing. Here at Simonson Building on Simon Mwewa Lane, plot number 8585, you have to roll with the punches. Have you noticed that I jumped on at exactly, what did I say, 12:10? I was on here at 12:10. You know why? Because I care about you. Help me help you by making sure that I'm on time. All righty. When you hear this sound, that's me tapping on the table. It's not flatulence. Okay, I wouldn't do that, you know, in front of an audience. You know, it just wouldn't be the right thing to do. But, you know, because, you know, on live TV, you have to explain everything. If I didn't explain that, I guarantee you someone in the comment section will, is that flatulence? Mr. Mwewa. So I got to explain it. So when you hear that, that's me doing this. I'm doing a Jimmy Swaggart, playing the piano. All righty, guys, let's get into it. I mean, let's just go ahead and jump on it. First thing I want to talk to you about is the number of junkies that are growing exponentially, not only in our communities, but in the CBD. And it seems to me that the local authority have turned a blind eye. They've pretended that this problem doesn't exist. Brothers and sisters, we are sitting on a time bomb. This is a powder keg, and all it takes is one spark to set it off. Already, we are hearing countless stories of people in communities that are being attacked, that are being besieged by a group of people. And you're constantly hearing that in a certain compound, in a certain area, you can't walk there after 18 hours, after 17 hours. When you begin to hear sentiments like that, that is a big red flag that the authorities have to take note of. If a community doesn't feel safe, if you're not safe enough to walk through your neighborhood at 8 p.m. or at whatever time it is, there's a problem. That is a huge, gargantuan problem. Now, here's the issue. People ask, well, what is the solution? The solution is very simple. All you have to do is get the authorities around a round table and make a decision on how to deal with these kids. If you ignore it, it's not going to go away. It'll stare you right square in the eyes. The police, Home Affairs knows exactly how to handle this problem. There is not one iota of external wisdom that's going to just fall on the laps of the authorities, that's going to give them some type of, oh, aha, wow, epiphany moment. No, they know what to do. Do it. You don't need citizens to come to you and say, you know what, I think you should do A, B, C, thus and so, etc. No, we need to look to the authorities. We need to look to the people that are entrusted to deal with those problems to come up with solutions. Solutions that aid the community. That's our position. And we've made that very clear. But brothers and sisters, as long as the authorities turn a blind eye, look away, and pretend it doesn't exist, ooh, it's going to hit them right square between the eyes. One day, very soon, we won't even be able to leave our houses because neighborhoods are going to be overtaken, overrun by gangsters under the name of junks. Langula junkies. Don't let them vanquish neighborhoods. Don't let them vanquish communities. If it means putting more police officers on the street, do it. If it means extending the hours of surveillance and patrolling, do it. Don't sit on your laurels. Don't sit on your blessed assurance. Don't sit on your hands, twiddling your fingers and singing kumbaya. Nati fingers. Sometimes chira to pita. Fingers. Did you hear me say fingers? I meant fingers. For goodness sake. There's nothing to laugh about here. This issue is a very serious issue. Home Affairs, Jack Mwimbu, this is a matter of grave importance and it must be tackled comprehensively. We trust you to do the right thing. All right. Secondly, I want to talk about Raphael hijacka Nakachinda. He got his comeuppance. I've been saying it. Haven't I been saying it? Did I or did I not say the other day that it doesn't matter how much Raphael Nakachinda showboats. It doesn't matter how much he stands on the highest hill and begins to wax the elephant or wax eloquent, thinking Raphael, let me bring up to speed. In case you guys don't know, because there's a cluster. There is a remnant of Zambians that have no clue as to why Raphael was sent to prison. Everything to some of you is looked at through the lens of politics. And you mislead yourself. You are misguided if you perceive everything as politically motivated. You are wrong. There are things that are in plain sight that you have to look at and call them for what they are. Number one, Raphael is in prison because he said in no uncertain terms, meaning there was no doubt as to what he said and what he meant. That's what it means when people say in no uncertain terms. It was very clear what he said. There was nothing ambiguous The word ambiguous means there was nothing doubtful about what he was saying. Raphael said, HH, the head of state, is having clandestine meetings, dark corner meetings, they're clandestine, dark corner secret meetings at his private residence, and he is trying to orchestrate an environment where a one-party state exists in this country. Now, to some of you, that may sound mundane. It may sound insignificant because there's a small group of you that say, so what, Mr. Mwewa? Even if he said that, so what? Well, let me explain what the problem is with that statement. When a major opposition member begins to paint in broad strokes, meaning begins to say make these huge, outlandish statements, what he's saying is, or what he's doing is that he's trying to incite the public to rise against authority. He's trying to ignite rebellion against authority because he's trying to convince you that this head of state is up to no good. He wants to create a one-party state where he will declare himself as king, emperor, ruler of all he surveys. He wants you to say, well, we're not going to have that. So let's rise up against this tyranny. Let's rise up against this monarchy, this pseudo-monarchy that we didn't sign up for. Now, when he invokes that feeling in you, you begin to disdain the head of state. You begin to look at the head of state and say, so, but if I want part of state, but if I quick but if I affiliate, but if I olo, tatwa iyoya na tatwa idie. Tatwa idie ya olo. Ya olo kuribe. That's what he wants you to think. When in fact, it's not true. Now, when an opposition leader says those words and tries to incite you to rebel against authority, he's trying to incite civil unrest. What is civil unrest? It means he wants the country to be in conflict. You know, some of these politicians, they don't care about this country. They just care about their personal survival. They don't, in fact, to be honest with you, that word patriotic should be removed from that party. It should no longer be called the Patriotic Front. Because that word patriotic, it does not fit what they do, those chaps. Patriotic? There is nothing patriotic about Raphael Nakachinda. Everything he stood for, everything he did, everything he breathed was to incite, mislead, and to be disingenuous. When ECL passed away in South Africa, Raphael Nakachinda was so irresponsible. He goes on a South African national television station and he deduces. He says, the family, the ECL family suspects that the former president, the sixth and former president of the Zambian Republic, was poisoned. That was a very serious statement. And he was never taken to task for that one. Why? Why did he say that? He wants the Zambian people to look at HH and say, poisoned. So you mean by ECO didn't die of issues? That is a narrative that these chaps that call themselves the Patriotic Front, that is a narrative they want to peddle. They are unassuming simpletons in this country that will believe that nonsense. They'll believe it. You chaps that are trying to incite dissension, conflict in this country, you will not succeed. You won't. Because this country was here before you came, and it will be here long after you are dead and gone. Hear me? poisoned. You idiot, Raphael Nakachinda. You imbecile, you vagabond, you leech, you bottom feeder, you parasite. Poisoned. How dare you? The gall, the unmitigated gall, the don't get me started. See, these are the things that infuriate us. In the name of what? Politics. You're going to insinuate, lie. ECL was not poisoned. He was not poisoned. Those are things you just say. The things that make you think your followers will embrace them. Now, what I find interesting about Raphael Hajaka Nakachinda is that when he was making those statements, you see, you politicians, you have to be careful with what you say in the presence of a crowd, in the presence of a cheering crowd. They will cheer for you and clap and applaud while you are making those outlandish statements. No, Hakainde Hichilema is holding clandestine meetings at his residence there with judges, and they are planning to create a one-party state. He said that in the presence of supporters who were cheering him on, who were applauding him. To applaud, not applaud, applaud. They were clapping for him. Hey, bossy, bossy, fieveni, hey, bossy, bossy. Hurrah! All those chaps who were cheering, where are they? Where are they? Bali mumbali, bali kumanda kumyabo. Bali n'abaana n'olupwa baleedi obwali impwa n'ebisashi n'essabi yakoca bale tufye ba Raphael ati n'abakaka awo kyena kyabipa we mperako omukyeri apo we mwina kawusha empwa naimwe kwaliwo okukawusha empwa akishani abantu bamukyashani bamutwala kuchimbohaira. That is how indifferent these people who cheer for you when you are making those foolish statements. That is how indifferent they are. There you are. You are on your way to Mwembeshi alone. And yet the statements that landed you in this Waterloo were being cheered on by your supporters who are nowhere to be seen. Those same supporters won't even take you anything in Mwembeshi. It's only your family. Only your immediate family, assuming you are married and you have children. That's all. So don't be foolish. You know, somebody asked me, said, Mr. Mwewa, what does Waterloo mean? Waterloo means, it's a reference to, remember Napoleon the First? He was a French emperor. He was such a great conqueror. But the battle that did him in, the battle that he finally lost, was in a small town called Waterloo over there in Brussels. You know, in those days, this was in the 1800s. In those days, that portion of the country, well, the world, was called the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. In Brussels, there's a small town there called Waterloo. That was where Napoleon experienced his defeat. So when you hear someone say, that is your Waterloo, it means that is the thing that did you in. That was your final blow. Raphael Nakachinda's Waterloo was when he made that statement, Kuti, judges are meeting with the president, planning to create a one-party state. Ubu fifie, wake up. You are landing yourself in problems. Cyber law was signed by Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Do you know that? It was signed by him. And everyone is subject to those laws, including politicians. So don't think that you are exempt when the law visits you because of something you said on social media. They will take you to task. You, me, and everybody else. Every one of us has a responsibility to toe the line. And if you are going to use politics to camouflage yourself, good no, in a political. I mean, there's Raphael saying, no, I'm speaking for the people. And even when we're in prison, we're going to speak wala wufi. You can't even take a piss in prison without say so, without permission. Raphael Nakachinda is full of himself. He is foolish, that chap. Where in prison do you speak for yourself? Pant door, fiance kuku iswira. Door, they have to open for you. Toilet, you have to ask. Walking across the street, you have to. When you receive a visitor, they have to come and tell you. So when you say you're going to be speaking from prison, what do you mean? These are the false freedom fighters, and they call themselves freedom fighters. They land themselves in problems, and they call themselves freedom fighters. Nonsense. Nonsense. That is your comeuppance. In fact, in my view, 18 months is a slap on the wrist for that chap. 18 months is a slap on the wrist. It is a shrug on the shoulders. It is. Don't be foolish. Be careful with what you're saying. Otherwise, the state will perceive you as someone who is embroiled in the exploitation of man by man. Okay, all right. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, lastly, 27 cars. Cosmos. You know, when he was doing that interview, that number 27 just literally just popped into his head. He just decided to just spew a number. You know, in an effort to convey to his audience and to the interviewer that he never boasts, which the truth is that is a form of boasting. The moment, I want to teach you something. The moment you say you're humble, you cease to be. Ooh, that's a good one there, boy. Guys, I'm literally throwing pearls in front of you. I want you to say that in the comments. The moment you call yourself humble, you cease to be. Say it in the comments. Just type that. When you say you are humble, the moment you say, I'm humble, you cease to be. Meaning, when you say you are humble, you're no longer humble. You are full of pride. So when these guys go on social media, they're interviewed, and they say things like, me, I don't show off. Have I ever come to you and told you I have 27 cars? The moment you say that, it means you're showing off. Now, here's the anomaly with Cosmos. This is the anomaly. Is that when you watch that interview and you watch his body language, you can clearly see that was a number he just came up with in his head. He just said the number. He ain't never had no 27 cars. Why would you have 27 cars? Unless you're running a fleet of taxis, which is highly unlikely. I mean, who has 27 cars? Do you know, I'm 56 years old. Do you know how many cars I've had? You literally can count them on 2 fingers. 2 fingers. Oh, and live, just 10 minutes. I mean, literally 2 fingers. So why would you say 27? And how impractical is it to have 27 cars? It's very impractical. It doesn't even make any sense. Then he turns around and says, well, I didn't say I have 27 cars. And then he says, I was speaking in the past tense. I was using the past tense, the word had. I had 27 cars. None of that is necessary. None of that is necessary. Why would someone who's had 27 cars go around hustling and trying to sell t-shirts door to door to raise money for an effort. It simply doesn't add up. So my point is this. I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. I'm trying to teach you something. The problem with Zambia is that even when you're trying to teach young people something, they take it the wrong way. Oh, Musieni! Musieni for what? I'm trying to teach you something. There is nothing great about sounding prideful. Let me change that. There's nothing great about sounding humble when you're really prideful. Ooh, that's a deep one there. There is nothing great about sounding humble when really the truth is you're full of pride. Take that, tuck it in your spirit, let that marinate in your soul, let it bubble in your oblongata. Those that hear, the word of God says, let those that have ears hear. But if you're stuck in pride and you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, more power to you. That's your choice. Okay? All right, I gotta go. I have to go have lunch. Fish today. Do you know I could eat fish every single day and twice on Sunday? Tell me I've got a problem. Tell me. Thanks for watching. Bye.